This is Grace Notes. I'm Alan Button, and pleased to have as our guest today, Chris Dunn. Chris is the Executive Director of the Arts Council of Moore County, and he described it to me before we came into the studio as his dream job.
Oh, yeah.
We'll talk about that a little bit. Our focus won't be on the Arts Council entirely by any means. We're going to learn something about Chris, but before we go there, welcome, Chris.
Thank you for having me. This is an honor.
It's our pleasure. Speaking of the Arts Council of Moore County,
Yeah.
I'd be interested, Chris, to have you tell me and our listeners how you got to that place.
Oh, wow.
And what I have in mind is way back.
Way back.
Tell us about your early piano days.
Well, in the fourth grade, my family got together about $750 and showed me a check with that on there. And my mom showed it to me and she said, "What do you think that's for?" And prior to this, I'd gone into every mall, and every mall had a piano store. So I'd go in by ear, pick out tunes and things like that I could remember. So that's when they said, he might like to take piano. And I think they asked me, and I said, yes. I didn't know what that meant. And they said, "What do you think this is for?" I said, "A new bike." And they're like, "No, how about a piano?" And I'm like, "Oh, cool. Okay." So in fourth grade, I started piano, but in the fifth grade, I got into band. My county started in the fifth grade. I think Moore County and most of the counties around us started in the sixth grade.
And you say your county, you're talking
it's Greene County. I'm from Snow Hill, North Carolina. Cool little town.
Which is in between, right in the middle of...
Greenville, Goldsboro, Wilson, and Kinston. If you're looking on a map, Snow Hill's right in the middle of all of those. So we got a piano. I got into band. Found out playing trumpet is a little bit of work. And at that time, I was quitting things, Boy Scouts or Cub Scouts, whatever it was. And my mom was not liking me saying, "Yes, I'll do it," and then quitting. So she said, she didn't know I quit. I put myself in study hall. But my band director called home and said, "Where's Chris been?"
This was when you were in fifth grade.
Fifth grade. So after 2 to 3 weeks, I was like, I'm not going to do this work. So band director calls home. Mom gets the phone call, and she hangs up and says, "So, you're not going to band, are you?" I said, "No, but I'm in study hall." I thought that would appease her. It's like, wait a minute, we paid $50 for your trumpet. You committed to a year. You're going to see that year through. So I went back to band, and I never stopped playing. And I even have a music degree in trumpet, of all things. So it took about to my freshman year in high school where I went, this is actually kind of fun. And sometimes the girls like you when you play an instrument. Sometimes, not all the time. But no, I just found a love for music. And from then, that's what started me on my path of whatever I wanted to do in life. I wanted art to be a part of it. So went to college, went to East Carolina. I was a music major, but I instantly found I was the worst trumpet out of 50 that were there. And most of them weren't even music majors. And I went, not going to be a performer. Don't want to teach. So I said, let me try to be a person who presents artists that do this. So after I graduated I switched from music to business, graduated with a business degree, I lacked a few hours having a music degree, went back another year, got that degree. Then I applied for every internship in this country, and I got offered 2, one paid, one didn't. So I went with the one that paid.
That was in Cincinnati?
Cincinnati. It was the Cincinnati Opera. I was a production office intern. From there, I got offered another internship to come to D.C., Washington, D.C., for the Kennedy Center of the Performing Arts. And there I was a marketing intern, and I put up marketing stuff all over that building. And if you've ever been to the Kennedy Center, you know it's large. So I got to do that for 3 months. And while I was on that, I opened the door for the right person. She called my intern boss and offered me a job interview. It was for a chamber orchestra that performed at the Kennedy Center called the Washington Chamber Symphony. Got lucky and got the job, and it was box office manager and music librarian. So I was using my business degree and my music degree in the same job, my very first job, real job.
That college education was paying off.
It was.
How long were you there?
3 years. It was the best job. I had great people. I got to see amazing concerts, and some of them were sold out in the Kennedy Center Concert Hall, which was 2,700 people. I got to play Santa Claus that plays trumpet.
Very good.
I was cool on the Kennedy in front of 2,700 people. I was the trumpet playing Santa Claus, and the problem with that is the beard. The beard gets in the mouthpiece, and you can't play. So I learned that you exhale to get the beard out of your way, inhale when you put the trumpet to your lips, and then play.
Was it from there that you ended up in Moore County?
Yes, and that's a little bit of a strange answer. Is I saw the announcement for the job at the Arts Council as assistant director, and I got it through the North Carolina Arts Council because I'm a North Carolinian and I was coming home. I didn't even register to vote anywhere else. I just did not want to live in a city. I wanted to be in North Carolina somewhere. So I applied. I got offered the job, luckily, and have been there since 1995.
We'll come back to a little bit about what you do with the Arts Council.
Yeah.
But tell us first about this song that you've selected. Why Bridge Over Troubled Water?
It's a great song. It's my mom's favorite song, so she introduced it to me, and it's just got a great message. Like, her message to me was, if you ever need anything, we're here. And my parents have always been that way.
And that's what this song is about, isn't it?
And it's one of those songs I wish I had written. There's a lot of songs like that, but it's one of those songs that you listen to it and it gets better and better as it goes.
Did you come from a musical family?
No. Mom and Dad couldn't carry a note if you gave it to them. My sister, she tried clarinet, but she was the athlete in our family. But no, I was the only one that had a desire to keep at it. And I still practice every day.
But your mother knew good music when she heard it.
She did. When it won't good music for the first 4 or 5 years. Trumpets don't sound great when you don't know how to play them. But she knew I enjoyed it, and
she knew Simon and Garfunkel.
Oh, she knew that. Oh, she came from the 50s and 60s. That's her era.
Well, let's not go back too far. This song was released in the 70s.
70s. Oh, in the 70s, I remember going down the road listening to music on the radio. I was a radio person. But she introduced me to Elvis, because that's the only records we had. I didn't have the new stuff. I had to listen to the radio hits of the day. But I had Everly Brothers. I had the Four Freshmen. She had I don't know what to call it. It had every 50 song, all the popular ones. So I literally played those over and over and over. So I grew up on her music and my dad's music, to the point where if you're on a trip with my parents and you say a song that's in a song, you say anything, a line or something that they can find in a song, they will start singing. They couldn't sing, but they knew the songs. It was just, that was the cool thing and embarrassing thing in my family.
Well, we'll send this one out for Mom and you, Chris. What's Mom's name?
Her name's Linda Dunn.
Linda.
Yeah.
And your dad's name?
Stuart.
Stuart.
Yep.
So for Linda and Stuart,
yep,
from Chris, let's hear it. Bridge Over Troubled Water by Simon and Garfunkel.
When you're weary, feeling small,
if you're just joining us, our guest today is Chris Dunn. Chris is the executive director of the Arts Council of Moore County. And Chris, we kind of left off or cut short our conversation about your family, covered your parents, and you mentioned your sister. Tell us about the musical connection with your wife and how things got started there, musically speaking.
That's an easy one. We met in band. So it was East Carolina. She was a freshman. I was a senior. And she didn't think much of me at first. I was a senior, and there's one place at East Carolina, it's called 10th Street. And she and a group of freshmen were just sitting there waiting for the light to say, walk. And I'm walking up to them like, why are they just standing there? There was no traffic anywhere. So I didn't push anybody. I just walked through them because I could just go right through, and I walked right by them and said, "What are y'all waiting for?" And I just kept walking. That was her first introduction to me. And I'm not going to say what she called me. So, but I wasn't mean about it, but she was like, "Oh, that was kind of rude."
And then at some point later, you sort of practiced your songwriting skills.
Yes. So after we've been dating 2 or 3 years, so the only song that got me the girl was one I wrote to propose for my wife, Rebecca.
Uh-huh.
And in the song, I asked her to marry me at the very end of it. And she said she was crying, and I guess she was wiping a tear or two or something. I put the ring in front of her. She didn't see it for the longest time. And I'm like, well, what do you think? And I was waiting for something like, yes. And she didn't see the ring or anything. And after the fact, she said yes and all that. She had said, well, I was thinking, I hope he uses this to propose for me, propose to me. And I was like, well, I did. And it worked. So, and nobody's heard that song outside us two.
You're not going to sing it for us.
Oh, no. My singing days are gone.
Well, speaking, and your wife's name, by the way, is
Rebecca.
Rebecca.
Yep.
Well, speaking of Rebecca and yourself, tell us about CJ.
CJ is the best decision we made. So CJ's adopted. He was adopted. We met him the first day he was born, brought him home the second day. And it was a surprise adoption for us. We literally were on our way home from a vacation, got a call saying, are you interested in adopting? We have a birth mom who's giving birth tomorrow. I think it was the day before. I can't remember. Maybe the day of. And we said, of course we are. So we were with a nonprofit adoption center called Independent Adoption Center. They had an office in Raleigh, and we were to match with a birth mom. And it could be anywhere in the United States. It just happened to be CJ was born in Durham, North Carolina, which is great. This is only an hour and a half away. So we went up there the first day, saw him, fell in love. We were gone. I mean, that was it. His birth mom didn't want any contact, so we came home. We didn't want to make her feel uncomfortable. When we came back the next day, and when he was discharged, it was a lot of things through the social worker and all that. She was being discharged at the same time through the lobby. Well, my car was in front of the lobby, and they said, you can't go through the lobby, go through the emergency room, go get your car. I drove around to the emergency room. We got discharged that way. And it was a lot of things like that. This was the first time I decided whatever happens, happens. Mm. And that's the thing with adoption. I was not keen on adoption. I was scared of it at first. And now that I've gone through it, it's another option of making a family that you don't think about. Yeah, I don't really care that my bloodline is moving on. My family is more important than my bloodline, and my bloodline doesn't make my family. Rebecca always says that friends are a family you choose. Well, we chose CJ, and we think we were chosen by CJ in a way, because of how everything went as smoothly as you could have prayed for. Even the naming of him. We had a name picked out for a boy. We didn't have anything for a girl. We had no idea if he would be a boy or girl until the call came. So we picked out Christopher Jack. And Christopher's my name. I have part of my dad's name. My dad has part of his name. None of us are juniors or anything like that. Jack is Rebecca's grandfather's name, who was also adopted. We were going to call him CJ. That's the only thing we agreed on. Through the social worker, his birth mom wanted to name him. And we're like, oh my gosh, what is it going to be? And she wanted Noah Chris. And we're like, Noah's our godson's name. Chris is my name I go by, and it formally Christopher. And we, through the social worker, we said, can we name him Noah Christopher Jack? And she agreed. So his name is, not only did we come together, birth family and adoptive family, to make a family, but we helped name him too. So it things like that kept coming up. And I also mentioned, in 2 days, we were not at home. We didn't have a nursery. We didn't know it was a boy or girl. No nursery was finished. We had no clothes, no diapers, nothing ready. And in those 2 days, the baby fairy came in and had 3 months worth of clothes, diapers. They finished our nursery in those 2 days, and we don't know who did it. We
Was it-
have an idea, but we don't know.
It was done anonymously.
It was. So we have great friends. We know kind of who they are.
Uh-huh.
But it was done so quickly that it just blew our minds when we got home.
Well, you've described a number of things that just make it sound like it was meant to be.
It was. And he's 15 now. So for 15 years, it's been a rocky road for him personally. So at age 6, he was diagnosed with Tourette's. And if you don't know, that's an involuntary tic disorder. It can be vocal, it can be physical. He has both, not debilitating. There's been cases where you just can't function. That's not him, but it does get in the way of schooling. It comes with a lot of other stuff like OCD, anxiety, verbally. He won't stop talking. He's very creative when he speaks and writes and things like that. But that was at age 6. That was an ordeal. At age 10, he was diagnosed with leukemia.
Uh-huh.
That's when everything stopped. It was like COVID before we had COVID. We started homeschooling. We were in and out of for the first year, in and out of the hospital for 3 to 4 times a week, just for treatment. That was tough for him developmentally in terms of social. All his friends, we had to stop him seeing any of his friends, not going to school or anything like that.
Because of immunity concerns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Lack of immunity.
Exactly, because they literally have to break your immunity down to nothing and then build it back up. So the good news is it was 3.5 years of treatment. That ended in March of 2021. He is now cancer-free.
Wow, terrific.
So I'm happy about that. He is doing rather well managing Tourette's, more so after puberty. That's crazy.
Its own set of issues.
Yes.
Independent.
You know how it is if you're neurotypical, which is my what Rebecca would say. Normal brain, whatever you want to call it. Neurotypical is what it's really called. It was bad for me going through puberty. I just remember the ups and downs and the drama and all that in my own mind. Add Tourette's to that, and it's just volatile sometimes. It's not fun for that person. But he has gone through that. He is now a purple belt in Taekwondo.
Uh-huh.
It's the first activity that he can do and focus on while ticking with Tourette's. No big deal.
Interesting.
Yeah. So there are people that have Tourette's that you might not know it because they can hide it. But while they're hiding it, takes a toll on your body, on your mind and everything. So when you come home, you release. It's like having a sneeze and you stop yourself sneezing. That's what it's been described to me as what the tics are.
CJ is 15 now?
He is 15 now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's doing really well.
Tell us about this next song, Chris. Happy Adoption Day.
Oh, it's the perfect song for our adoption process. And it tells of families do not have to be blood. There's one line in there I think I mentioned earlier about no matter the skin, we are all of us kin.
You've quoted it exactly.
Yeah. So, and just to let you know that CJ is black, and that could have been an issue.
And the relevance here is that you're white.
Exactly. So he has another thing that he has to deal with. Being a black child in a white family is not easy, especially when you're with your friends and I come pick him up at school and they look at me and they look at him. And they're like, that's different. He sometimes talks about it. Now, he's honest to a fault. He has no filter. He'll talk about anything. He'll ask you questions that you don't want him to ask. So we a long time ago said, just be honest with him. Sensitive but honest. He deals with that. He's better now, but it was harder when he was 8, 9, 10, because other kids would ask questions and all that. But it's just, it does not matter the skin that we have. That is not something you choose. And I know there's been issues in my lifetime, even within my family, with race. But I have to credit my parents. They were like, that was never an issue. And with CJ, we know it's an issue that he has to deal with in his own way. and he's dealing with it. And he's learning that skin color doesn't matter. It doesn't make you who you are, and you don't choose it. So why should you make that part of your way you interact with someone? But he's doing well.
John McCutcheon is somebody you've met.
Yes. In my job, I get to present artists like John McCutcheon. And the first time I heard this song was live after booking him for a concert in Pinecrest High School almost 15 years ago, because we had just adopted. And I didn't know about this song until a friend of mine said, you need to hear this song. So I requested it during his concert, and he played it. And I was like, oh, my God. So I had to go out and buy the CD right then.
Terrific. Sort of a theme song, it sounds like, for the Dunn family.
It is the theme song for our family, how it started.
Let's hear it. Happy Adoption Day by John McCutcheon.
Oh, who would have guessed? Who could have seen? Who could have possibly known? Day, oh, happy Adoption Day.
That was Happy Adoption Day by John McCutcheon. Chris, we've sort of been talking around the arts a bit. Tell us what it is about the arts that make it or make them special, and why you've made a career of it.
With, what is it, a cliche, music has power? Well, I think all the arts have power, and everybody can draw from whatever art they are interested in. For me, it was music. It drew me in. It took me away from doing anything in sports. When I got to high school, I dove into music. I did band. We had an after-school singing group called the Ramblers. This was at Green Central High School. And I was the trumpet player backing up live musicians. We were live musicians backing up singers. We were playing the songs of the day. And then in the spring, we did musicals, one musical, one a year. And I just found a love for musical theater, for music in general. And it gave me the purpose that I was looking for. Everybody has to have a purpose. And mine was, I want to be involved in the arts somehow. And when I got to college, I figured out it wasn't performing for a living. There's a difference. I play for fun. It is not my living, because you have to have the talent and the desire to take that leap. So I found my desire was to help those people that make that leap, present them in concerts, or like for my job, I get to present artists in a gallery, do art lectures, we do art tours, we do all sorts of concerts, we do music and the arts, performing arts in the schools. We hire authors to come in and talk to the school children and read their books and give them books. And we give music and art scholarships to kids in middle and high school so they can pursue what they're interested in at that time. Because I benefited from a small scholarship in high school to go to the ECU summer band camp. And this scholarship was set up for the same purpose. And if I were fired today, I would remain on that panel to award those scholarships, because I believe that the earlier you can get a child interested in something, whether that be sports or art, the better. I always question what would have happened if Itzhak Perlman or Joshua Bell or Yo-Yo Ma had never gotten that instrument in their hands. What would they be doing? Would they be successful in something else? Probably, we don't know. But what are the chances of them getting that instrument if they were born someplace else, or if they didn't have a lot of money, or they lived in the country or something? The artists that we listen to, it's like a crapshoot. They become the artists that we listen to. Mm-hmm.
Well, and the impact that they have on others is just huge.
Yes. So my job is to put the audience with the artist together, so both get something from it.
What you're talking about actually reminds me of something that our Saturday evening Wood Songs host regularly quotes from Vincent van Gogh. Art is to console those who are broken by life. Mm-hmm. You said music is powerful.
It is.
Has power.
It can get you through something and get you to something. I've used it all my life, especially since since high school. I thought it would get me the girls. But then I found out it was
powerful that it is.
Yeah, it's not quite that powerful. I found that it helped me more than it helped me get girls. But there's songs like you wanted 3 songs that meant a lot to me. I could have given you 100 that I've performed or heard live, heard a recording of it. Like Carolina in my mind, that's the one that means I'm coming home to North Carolina. And I do that anytime I am traveling and I'm headed back to North Carolina. I play that.
You've anticipated my question. No, that's
sorry.
Good. But speaking of coming back to North Carolina,
Yep.
You mentioned to me that you have regularly been involved with a music event in Interlaken, Michigan?
In Michigan, there's this Interlaken Center for the Arts, and they do a band camp for adults, and I get to be like I'm in high school again and go back to band camp.
But then when it's over, you're headed back to North Carolina?
I hit it's on my phone. I hit play and I start driving. That's the first song I play. And I did that when I was in D.C. and I was coming and seeing Rebecca. She was in school for 3 more years. I played it every time going south on I-95. Oh, that was some long drives.
And why do you play it?
Because that's what coming home sounds like for me. The first line, in my mind, I'm going to Carolina.
And it's in my mind, it's not on my mind.
It's not on, it's in mine. I knew inside my whole being that I was not going to live anywhere else. I did have 3.5 years outside the state, and I made my way home, and I have no desire to leave.
Well, Chris, it's been a real treat having you here. Thank you for taking the time to come in and talk with us.
Oh, it's been an honor. I've seen all your guests, and I don't feel worthy, but I appreciate it. It's been fun.
You fit in. You're a Grace Note for sure.
I love the title.
in more ways than one. You know about Grace Notes musically.
Yes, I do.
And you're making a difference in people's lives.
Well, that's all I hope we all want to do. And y'all are doing the same thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's hear it. Carolina in My Mind by James Taylor.
In my mind, I'm gone to Carolina. Can't you see